welcome to the round table. I am Jennifer Eller, and with me today is my co-host, Mike Hill. There's just a precursor to what we're talking about. And our producer, Nick Wilson, and then our guest today is Jeremy Okuly. Yay!
Hey, give it to him. Yeah! Yeah! Yes.
Okay.
See, he's even got the deep voice.
He does. I mean,
That's why I had somebody tell me, he's like, you're one of those guys that looks like you just got to growl when you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like made for it.
Yeah.
well, let's just start talking about
No,
it.
go ahead.
No, let's just start talking about
Go
it.
somewhere in time, travel back or travel forward. Is that not what you were thinking? Come on, Jennifer. Would you travel back or travel forward?
Forward.
Would you?
I think I would go forward
Where
just
would
to
you
see
go? Like how far? What do you want to see? If the Cubs ever win the World Series again?
so probably 108 more years. Well, now it's
108.
102 now probably.
You'll be dead.
I know. I'm going
Nobody's
forward.
traveling forward to see it.
I'd like to go forward enough to see back.
Oh,
Okay.
So what you missed?
Yeah, what I missed, and probably 100, 200 years maybe,
Oh my God.
just to see what happened after I passed, or
That's the first
even
time
now
we've
to
ever-
see happen, even if, say, 70 years from now,
Yeah.
maybe to go see, hey, how'd my life shape up?
That's the first person we've
interesting.
ever had say go forward.
Yeah, I think Thaddeus did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he wanted to be able to tell his kids, I think, or teach his kids, even because you said
Because
even
you're a
if you
go
did-
back person, aren't you?
There's not too much I would want to really go back.
Oh.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah. So Jeremy's famous.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's a famous umpire. You see him in the community, see him in Wabash, see him in Huntington, see him all over the place.
Yeah, Huntington, Wabash for the league, and I travel within an hour for high school stuff during
Oh,
varsity
really?
season.
Oh, I guess I missed that part.
Yeah, I do varsity baseball, so I
Okay.
travel. I'll go an hour. I'll drive an hour, hour and a half. Nick was there. I almost had to throw out a coach.
Yeah, are you serious?
Huntington North Senior Night, we
No
had a
way.
runner's lane interference, and he comes out, tells me and my partner, we don't know the rule. We're like, we both agree on it, and we both passed a rules test, so we're pretty sure.
Yes. Is that how you said it?
Yeah, no, I was just like, no, it's usually all right, whatever. Just go back to your spot and coach, and I'll umpire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just kept talking. All right, you say another word, you're going to be restricted. Didn't hear another word.
Wow.
And we're getting changed in the parking lot after the game, and a Leo fan pulls up, you suck, and drives off.
Oh my gosh.
I start laughing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
love
You
it.
have the temperament
Yeah.
to be an umpire. Because I get, the way if you're listening, you have to watch this and see him smiling. I can just imagine that's the yeah.
I like laughing at people,
Yeah.
especially parents.
Yeah.
They'll be barking at me, and I'll just start laughing. I'll look at them and give them a look and just shake my head at them.
Yeah.
Because I know it makes them upset.
Yeah.
Even more.
That makes him even more mad.
It makes it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes him even more mad. So,
Wow.
one of the questions we were all talking about beforehand is the state of travel athletics. So, everything has changed since we've been kids. Well, I don't know if since you've been a kid. How old
I
are
didn't
you?
play travel. I'm 25.
Okay.
6.
Since I've been a kid, let's
Yeah.
make it that way. So there wasn't such a thing. It's like you got the end of baseball, you did your all-star team, which they
Yeah.
picked from your county, and then you played other county teams, and or even like you played multiple sports because nobody was traveling and playing just one sport. Where today you see kids from a small age focusing on one thing, traveling all the time outside of, what they're doing. And so because you're involved in travel athletics, because you're involved in high school baseball, because you're kind of involved in a lot of seeing parents and kids, we want to get your view on travel athletics. But beforehand, we want Jennifer's view.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jennifer beforehand had a very strong opinion about parents who take their children to athletic events on Sunday afternoon. So if you are watching or listening and you've been taking your kids and missing church every once in a while to go further the development of your children, Jennifer, what say you on travel athletics.
It is wrong. Wrong. You do not do that. You boycott it and you say, I'm not going on Sundays because there's more to life. You need to be in church. You need to have family time. And you just need to say it's enough because we run too quick of a race. And so we need to have that downtime. I don't think you should do probably any of it on the weekends, but definitely on Sunday.
Not on Sunday.
Not on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It frustrates me when I hear people say, we have to do this, we have to go here, and we have, in travel distances, it's like, it's ridiculous. So stop it.
Nick, you want to give us your opinion since you're a parent who had your kids in travel athletics? So before we get to Jerry, would you like to give us your opinion on Jennifer's view of you as a heathen for traveling?
Well, our mic's going to be muted. But no, I thought that while I was in it, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And then looking back, like, we probably shouldn't have been that involved. Which really surprised myself thinking that. But
So once you got forward and looked back, you're kind of like,
I'm maybe not all the way Jennifer, but
somewhere in the middle.
somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so now you see all of us, the parents, the kids, the whole atmosphere.
What's your opinion?
I think that I will agree with what the guy said. So we took Brady to a camp for football because in the beginning, you always buy in that you should spend all this time because your kid's going to get a scholarship. And so we went to Ball State for a camp, and a guy gets up and he's like, here's what I want to tell you. To all of you parents that are standing here today, your kids are over here playing. I just want to tell you, it's money better spent to save your money and pay for your kids' college than it is to pay for travel athletics, because the majority of them are not getting a college scholarship and getting it paid for. So if you're doing this to get college paid for, the majority of you are never going to have that happen. And so you got to remember, think of all of because at the time, like baseball, because back then football didn't travel. Like there wasn't 7-on-7 and you didn't have as much of that, but baseball and basketball were huge in it. And I mean, I think to play for the Sluggers back then was like $3,000 a year.
Wow.
And then you had to go to all of the hotels and, pay for all of the hotels. So my view is that I think we need to really evaluate life and try to figure out what we actually want for our children. Do we want, is the whole goal for them to grow up and be a superstar athlete, or is it to grow up and to be a great man and a great woman like that? So I think we probably overdo it. And I would say from a college standpoint, so Stephen is a coach up at Grace, and they try to recruit multi-sport athletes instead of just athletes that play one sport, because they said usually athletes that play one sport are somewhat topped out. Like they can't be taught, compared to a kid that's just really athletic and we can teach him, and has size, we can teach him how to play at a college level. And so I think I'm somewhere with Nick. I don't think it's wrong for our kids to be in sports, but I do think it's wrong to choose to teach them the most valuable thing in their life is athletics. So give us your state of when you see parents, when you see kids, when you see, like, what is your view of travel athletics?
So my view of travel athletics is I think it's getting watered down a lot too.
Okay.
I think we got sluggers A, B, C, D. Oh. You'll see a bunch of teams with multiple teams. I'm not saying sluggers have 4 teams at every age group, but I'm saying, as an example, they have a couple, and I just think it's getting watered down, and almost anybody that's ever played could get on a travel team.
Right.
Because I think Fort Wayne's probably got 10 teams.
Right.
Because I see the Fort Wayne teams the most because I do it in Fort Wayne.
Right.
But I think you have to learn to balance. I think that's part of it. I think it is very important for an athlete. If you want to be a good varsity player, you need to play some travel ball. Because you're just not going to see great competition a lot when you're just playing in your hometown. But it also can hurt because you're out playing 100, 200 games a year.
Yeah, a year.
Wow.
And so you're just, they can play 3 to 4 games a day on a weekend. And
Yeah.
like teams are still playing right now.
No, I know.
So they play through the fall for the kids that don't play football. So I do some of those games. And
Yeah, I just think too, like, what do you think of the level of burnout? Like, I've seen tons of kids that played young and then they get to high school and like, I'm out.
yeah,
I'm just done. I've played too many games. This is all I've ever done. That's all I've ever focused. I've never had fun, you know?
I think a lot of the time too, the parents burn the kids out because there's an expectation. You can see it in a dad and a son. Like,
Okay.
hey, you're better than that, and I need you to be better. And I mean, I wrestled in high school, and we had a kid. His dad was up at every practice. The kid was probably our best pure wrestler, but he lost motivation, and he just didn't want to wrestle.
Yeah. Because the parents just
Because his
pushed
dad
him
was
too
just
much.
on him all the time. And But it's also, you just got to learn to balance. I think a balance is what you have to learn to do with these kind of things.
Right.
It's like with umpiring, I can do 4 or 5 games a day on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And you do that 3 or 4 weekends in a row. It's like, I love doing this, but
Which just proves you have a great personality.
Yeah.
Because anybody that could ump that many games with that many people
Yeah.
and that many kids, you'd have to have the patience.
and
of it.
it also helps with, we got a really good group of guys in Fort Wayne that umpire.
Okay.
They're around here. We have, I think there's 7 or 8 of us who we go out there. We know we're going to do things right. And if we do something wrong, we know we can go say, hey, you did this. Okay.
Right.
And we can learn.
Right.
So it's nice, but there is a big burnout after game 4.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But I just think this travel ball stuff, it's starting to get watered down. So you're not seeing as much top talent as you would think you'd want to see
Right.
doing travel ball.
Right.
Because right now, I do these tournaments in Fort Wayne, and they're okay. But if you go to Indianapolis, it's going to be a lot better. If you go, I think Kokomo has one that's better than most
Right.
of the stuff in Fort Wayne.
Yeah. Which is, again, I mean, we could get into this whole conversation of how it's just money grab.
Oh,
Right?
100%.
Because I've always said, if you ever want to fleece somebody, right? Like if you ever want to just fleece somebody, right? Why are you giving me that
No,
look?
I'm just trying to figure out what you're going to say. I don't know what you're talking. I mean,
Try to convince
listening.
your kid that he's going to be a superstar
Oh, yeah.
because parents will pay so much money to get those kids on travel teams and they're subpar talent.
Oh,
Or convince your same concept. So this is the next thing that's happened is that we have these parents like, well, we're not going to play in the. So not only is it, I'm not going to play in the local league, I'm not going to play in the local travel league. We're going to be on the, elite.
Yeah.
And it's only an extra $1,500. And if you want real competition, we got to travel to Florida and North Carolina, and we got to go to Indianapolis, and we got to do. But you know what? It's for the good of your kid, right? So we got to make sure you understand that. I'm like, where does it stop? Because that is just the level of, to the point where we have high school kids being put in prep schools.
yeah.
Right? And the whole focus is, I could go on a soapbox, but I just think with all of that is to remember our kids learn what we value based upon what we celebrate, right? So are we celebrating what matters most? Or are we celebrating because you made a travel team and because we're traveling all over and because we're playing in this, because you had 10 baskets? Like, it's so funny how many parents are super excited, like, you had such a great game. And, but how many times do we celebrate with our kids, like, you know what, good job inviting your friend to church.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we're always like, hey, you got to get to practice to get ready. But how many times do we encourage our kids to go read their Bible? Right? So, I think as parents, we got to really think through the things that we value the most. So, anyway, soapbox stuff.
that was amazing. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you decide you want to be an umpire? Where did that come from?
So I loved baseball growing up. I loved playing it, but I knew I'm not great at it. So if I want to stay in the game, I'm not the umpire. There is my fourth grade teacher. We all had to write out what we wanted to be when we got older, and they gave it back to us our senior year. Mine said umpire.
No,
Wow.
it
Yeah,
didn't.
it did.
Did you
Your
remember?
fourth grade
I
team-
did remember. Yes, I did remember that.
Emma's 5th grade teacher kept a letter and sent it to her on her 18th birthday. It was the
Nuh-uh.
coolest thing that Emma wrote to herself. It was amazing. It was
I just
amazing.
think how many fourth graders say they want to be umpires.
For sure.
I just-
And then you actually do it. You don't under-
Firefighters,
yes.
doctors, like.
And then there you are.
That's awesome. That is super cool.
Yeah. So I was 4th grade. My first game umpiring, I was 14. I lived in LeGros. They have a little ball diamond down there. I walked down, watched my old Little League team play. And when my buddy's dad was the coach, he's like, hey, you want to get out there and umpire? Yeah, sure. And then boom.
It just took off. the
Took
love.
off and did it throughout high school once the LeGros League was over. Because they didn't have enough kids.
Yeah.
The guy that got me out there, he's like, oh, my buddy, he helps Wabash Little League. They need umpires. You want me to have him give you a text? Yeah. And then Wabash Little League is where I really grew my passion for it. There was a couple of the umpires there, Kyle and Doyle, who really were like, hey, you can be good at this. You have really good instincts in it.
Aw,
So,
that's neat.
and then
So they kind of like mentored you, or
yeah, they
encouraged
mentored
you?
me. Yep, and they're still mentors to me, and it's nice because I have some different point of views that I can give them, and they listen, and we can all just. It's like a working. We want to be the best umpires we can be.
Yeah.
Because the one, I would say here in a couple years you'll see him in Williamsport doing a Little League World Series.
Really?
Yeah, he's on regionals and he's on the path, and he's a good umpire. So
See, that's going to be the cool thing about this podcast. You know, is that when you leave, Nick's going to have you like sign something,
Yeah.
so that when you're in the, so when you're like in the big leagues,
Yeah.
we can be like, well, I mean, guess who knew him first?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, just so everybody knows, like the guy that you see out there that just threw out, you know, that manager, we knew him.
Yep.
We talked to him. Because that is cool. You are trying to work your way up.
yeah. So right after high school, I went to professional umpire school down in Ormond Beach. So I went down there for a whole month with MLB umpires, minor league umpires teaching you, and you're in a classroom every day. They go through the rule book. You're taking notes. Then after that, you're going out to the field and doing what you learned. And then after all that, they're doing situations. So they put runners on base and they'd hit balls to the other umpires, and they are out there trying to field the ball. There's a reason we're at umpire school. So we're doing our best, and they're yelling at us, make plays for the umpires. Like, we're not great baseball players. We wouldn't be here.
That's actually funny. I never
So,
thought about that.
but it was really fun, and it's a great experience. And if umpiring is something you want to do, I recommend it anybody.
to go to that
school.
Mm.
One,
Okay.
because there's a couple schools you go to for professional,
Okay.
and you learn from the best of the best.
Right.
So I went to a school called Wendelstedt, and he's one of the umpires. His dad was one of the great umpires. So, but yeah, I spent a month down there. Didn't get the news I wanted, because you go from the school, they pick a group, and they say, you're going to this camp. And from that camp, they'll put you in minor league baseball. So I didn't get the news I wanted, so I went to another camp right after school. And I got a job in a league called the Northwoods League, which is Division I travel ball, basically, really. So we're traveling from Kokomo to Bismarck, North Dakota.
Wow.
So I'm driving. We're driving, me and two other guys in a truck the whole time for 3-4 months
And
every
these are
day.
people you never knew them.
Nope, never. We met
weird
at that
is that?
camp, and
And you just drive around for 3
we
months?
Drive around for 3 months.
So you
go
don't
town
come
to
back
town.
home. You just
Nope.
kind of on the road living and
Yep.
going next place,
And it was-
like a rodeo kind of circuit.
Yeah,
Yeah, kind of is like a rodeo.
it's a
is,
circus.
that's
Yeah, it's a circus.
I said circuit,
Yeah, it's
but
a
circus works too.
It's a circus. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have some really good memories in that league, and when you do, I think it was 90-some games in
Wow.
3.5 months.
Did you get homesick?
No,
Okay.
I
He was young.
I was 18. I was
Yeah,
19.
he was-
No, I was 20.
Yeah.
Living your life.
Yeah, I was 20, so
Okay.
I've never been out of home. So
Yeah.
traveling hotel to hotel was cool, and a couple older guys and some good stories
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
But I do. It was really fun, but I don't know if I could do it now.
Yeah, you know what my
Travel for
deal
3
breaker
months.
on that would be?
What?
I can't sleep in a hotel room with somebody I don't know.
Yeah, I'd want my own
Honestly,
room.
I can't sleep in a hotel room with somebody I do know, other than my wife. So I'm like, anywhere we go, it doesn't matter if we could all fit in a room. We're going to
Right.
buy enough rooms that you aren't in my room.
Yeah.
And I have this. Did you have to sleep in a room with these guys?
Yeah. So most of the
Oh,
time, the teams were too cheap to buy 2 rooms.
Yeah, no,
So
I
we
couldn't
have
do it.
3 guys, 1 room.
Yeah, I couldn't.
They
do
we'll get you one of the hotel cots.
it. Sleeping with 2 old.
And there's one of the
Yeah.
guys is in his 50s, and we're like, and he had some money, but when it was his first night on the cot, he went and bought another hotel room.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're like,
That's right.
then we felt bad. We're like, we can't make him spend his money on a hotel room. We can just switch it.
And make you
Yeah.
sleep on the cot.
I slept on the cot most lot.
Nah,
So-
just kidding. That's a deal breaker. I'd
Oh,
have to,
for sure.
I'd have to
No.
quit being an umpire.
Yeah, it's and then most
Sleeping
of the
in roach motels with other
Oh,
men.
golly.
and they gave us food. They fed us leftover concession stand food.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
No way.
yeah. So it's hot dogs and hamburgers.
Every night, all the time.
Leftover hot dog and hamburgers
See, I
every
see this.
time.
I always wonder if this is true. So when I go to face basketball games, you know, the not umpires, the referees
Yeah.
that are there, they always get like they take them pops, and
Yeah.
it looks like they're taking them concessions to like eat at halftime or whatever. And I'm like, you got any better food for them? Don't you
Right.
have like a hospitality room where you can give them chicken wings instead of the hot dogs and popcorn?
Right?
Live off of hot dogs for a while.
Wow.
In the summer, it's Wabash Little League. They make a really good walking taco I have about every night.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you're
Good.
at Wabash Little League,
Yeah. Shout
walking
out.
taco.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, they fed us that. So my one partner, he had like a winery. So he was loaded.
Okay.
So he's like, all right, we're going to Applebee's.
Okay.
First couple times, like, oh, I'll get my, no, I got it. So after it's
wow.
like, yes, okay, thank you.
And you got paid anything?
Yeah, we got paid, I think it was about, how much did we get paid?
At least you got paid.
We
I
got
was-
paid. It was decent. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Like, if you broke it down by game, it wasn't good.
Right.
Like $100 or something.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think
Yeah.
just about $100 a game. But that's also, they're like, well, we put you in a hotel and we fed
Yeah.
you.
I mean, that's expensive. Hotels are not cheap.
Yeah.
So
So,
The
yeah.
roach motels are
Yeah.
really cheap. We got the special room for you.
like 50
Well,
bucks.
I mean, the
70
bed
bucks.
bugs,
Yeah.
we couldn't get them
Red
out.
Roof
but-
Inn. Okay.
Yeah, right? Like you can have that room. It's really
Oh.
cheap. It's a cheap one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about, and maybe you guys have talked about this already. Like, so when you were growing up, like, did you grow up in a Christian home, and did you go to
Yes.
church all the time? And
Growing up, yeah, we
Okay.
went to a church in Wabash, Christian Heritage Church, it was called. And we grew. I grew up probably until I was about 10. We
Okay.
went about every Sunday, is what I remember from
Okay.
when I moved there. But after that, I'd say we just kind of went away from going to church. Always believed in God,
sure,
but never really followed God.
So is that like middle school you walked away? High school?
I'd say right before middle school
School.
is when I stopped really going to church.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
then a couple
typical.
times I went to campus life in high school, so I went back to church one week, like, oh, I'm gonna be better, and then I wake up the next Sunday, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going,
yeah,
not going. So
yeah.
yeah,
So when did you get reintroduced to faith, and like was that after high school?
oh
or-
yeah, it was my first week here. Like I'd always known, yeah, I always believed in God, and
right.
my ex-girlfriend didn't, but she'd always say, well, let's pray just in case on any weird situations we had. So it's like she does, but then she doesn't.
Yeah.
But so I always believed, and me and my ex broke up. I had a porn problem.
Mm-hmm.
So she found that out, and I'd say about 7 months, I'm laying at home, like lonely, miserable, didn't want to get up, didn't want to do nothing. I'm like, something needs to change. And I remember growing up, I came here with my grandparents once or twice.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Who's your grandparents?
Max and Nancy Phillips. They passed away a while
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's
I
a
came
long
with them.
time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that look?
No, you said they both passed away?
Yeah.
Nancy?
My grandma Nancy, her funeral was here. Upstairs. I remember that.
I don't know them then.
Yeah. It would have
You
been.
what?
I don't know them then.
No, it's
It
been
was a while.
Yeah, I was going to say probably within the first
Yeah.
6 years of the church, probably.
I came here at year 6, so that's
yeah,
why I
I was
don't
gonna say
know them.
it was right in the beginning.
So,
of
Yeah,
that.
okay.
and then my mom's best friend is Tammy Little.
Okay.
So, and then I remember me and my ex came here for Scott's funeral. And we left and we're like, if we're ever going to go to a church, we like the feeling of this place. So when I'm just laying there and I'm like, all right, I'll go. And then the Sunday came, I'm like, okay, I'm not going. Then a couple Sundays later, I'm like, all right, I'm going. And it was a baptism Sunday.
Are you serious? That was the first
my
one?
first Sunday was a baptism Sunday. And you talk about a range of, okay. This is why I came today.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about your journey then? Like, because again, like what has been the biggest growth part of your life? Like, what have you seen grow the most? I mean, is it just your knowledge? Is it your...
So I'd say forgiving myself is probably the biggest thing, because I still struggled with porn throughout,
Yeah.
and I haven't watched porn in I don't even know how long.
Right.
So that's a big part, and then
Which I think you shouldn't gloss over that.
No, that's true.
because
No, yeah.
that is like, when we're talking about when we should get up and celebrate and do
Yeah.
the
Get up.
thing.
Yeah.
Get up.
You know
Come
what?
on. You need to get up.
You're out! How's that?
yeah,
Porn is out.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
All I'm
It's
saying
Yeah.
is that those types of things don't just go away.
yeah.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean,
Is I'm
no,
proud
they
of you
don't.
because
It's-
that right there is
there's
not something that easily...
There's struggles still. I mean, there's still like, I'll see a picture on about
Yeah.
no.
Right. I'm just saying,
That's-
great job.
yeah.
Because that, when things happen like that, there is stuff that is wired, hardwired, that has to
Yeah.
be rewired.
Yeah.
And to do that, you have to make a commitment, and good job that you are fighting the fight. Because-
There's something you said a few Sundays ago, and it's if I can't hold something back for myself, how can I ever move forward? I'm not sure that's 100% what you said, but it's something like that. It
Yeah.
stuck with me a little bit, like, that makes sense in my story.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a tough time that whole year, and I'd say it was about 6 or 7 months of just by myself, lonely, struggling.
Yeah.
And I came here and decided to, this is where I need to be. I need to improve. And as I'm doing it, it's like, it's not about me now. I'm a story to help somebody else. And I'm trying to learn be better every day, read my Bible. I don't read as much as I should. I'm still learning to read it, and just give myself time every day. And
But you have, again, I mean, I'm just saying, from the time that I met you to where you are today, you're not even close to the same
No.
person. I mean, because I always, when I talk to people about, like, this is when you know it works. Because, sometimes people come and it's like, I'm not in a good place. And they kind of just sit back and nothing really ever changes. But you've really put the work in, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have said, like, I'm going to make a difference. I'm gonna fix this part of my life, and not only that, I'm gonna search out what I need. Like, you didn't sit back and wait for somebody to be like you searched it out. You searched out serving. You searched out, being in community. You're here, like, I see you all the
Yeah,
time
I'm
helping
here.
set up chairs
Yeah.
and set up baptismal stuff. And again, it's just really neat because to me that's the recipe, right?
Yeah.
The recipe is get beyond yourself. And then let God do what only He can do.
yeah.
And like I said, I think it's super cool.
Yeah, a lot less self-hatred is probably the biggest thing that I've noticed in myself.
Yeah.
Because before, I felt like a monster,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not the same person I was a year ago.
Right.
And thank God for that.
Yeah. Well, and again, being reminded that the enemy is the one who wants to continue to come back
Yep.
and condemn. You know, that's the worst part for all of us. You know, we overcome, and you know what I mean? Like, you ever get to that place where you feel pretty good about yourself? And I don't even mean that bad, but you're like, hey, I'm finally not
Yeah.
an idiot. I'm finally
Yeah.
not a monster. I'm finally getting over it. And then all of a sudden, these weird thoughts, you know.
It
Do you
all
ever have
comes
that?
back, and
Have
you're
you ever
like,
had
here
that
I go
stuff?
again. Oh, for sure. And I mean, not like I used to, in different
Yeah.
seasons, but there's times that it's just like, here we go again. And it's like, okay, but I know how to get out of those quicker.
Yeah, why don't
because I
you
know
tell
what's
people how to
happening.
get out of them? Because I think for both of you, for all of us, the number one attack of the enemy is the mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like this, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to start stirring stuff. So what are some practices that you have done to help stop the...
I
You know
mean,
what I
one
mean?
of the big things for me was journaling and actually writing it down, the thoughts that were in my head. And as crazy as they were or as bad as they were, I had to tell God, even though he knew it, I had to write it down, and because that's the way I could let it go. Otherwise, it just kept spiraling in there, and it just was time and doing that over and over again. And just, I would sing a lot of songs, and some of that was just, crying out to God, you have to take this, help me, help my mind. It was just over and over, and then within time, that stuff went away, and then every once in a while, I start going down a road again, and it's just like, I told Eric a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I'm not in a good place again. And I need this from you. You need to do this because I don't want to go back here again,
Yeah.
And so he stepped up for what I needed, because it's like,
Yeah.
so I think it's just telling somebody too. And it's like, I didn't have to go in detail, but he knew. I told him
Right.
enough that it's like, Satan's attacking again, and this is what I'm hearing, and you need to help me. So, because I don't want to be in those places.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do, and so.
And I think sometimes
for
it's
me.
hard to say it out loud, because I said, I went through a spell, because when you're a preacher, it's a weird thing, because you prepare all week for putting a message together, and you're hoping that it makes sense. And then you have people fall asleep, and, people that
What?
I'm just saying, sometimes you just have no idea.
Yeah, I know. We'd sit there, stare at you
how
blankly.
it goes, and is it working? And I probably went through 5 or 6 months. As soon as I get off the stage, all I would hear is, I hate you. You like this, man, just this self-defeating thing. And to even say it out loud, to recognize that just can't be true. God doesn't hate me. I
No.
wasn't that bad.
No, you're
You know
never.
what I mean?
Never.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I had to look at it, what was rattling around up there. I had to, whether it's writing it down or just saying it out loud, this is what I'm hearing. This just can't be true. And the crazy thing is, you want to go to somebody and you don't want to have to be validated, but sometimes you need validated.
Yeah.
It is okay. You know what I mean? I don't think that's wrong. And I think we need to be there for each other when it comes to those things. I do think we need to be like, no, you're not a whatever. You're those things that are going, that is
Right.
not true. This is true. And I think that's where we can step in. Do you have anything that you did, Jeremy?
So it's just so after I started my journey, there's times I went back.
Yeah.
And just remembering how I felt after I did it. So remembering how disgusted of myself I was for doing it is something that can help me, hey, that's not who you are. So
That's good.
anytime that feeling then no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just recognizing the truth of the afterwards.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because the lie in the beginning is you deserve it. It's okay. It's not that big a deal. It's not like you're doing it all the time,
Yeah.
The things that
Yeah.
always play through our head. And then you're like, but the truth really is, I feel terrible afterwards.
And there's people, I have family. I love them to death.
Right.
But they're like, well, there's no problem with you watching porn.
No, I
It's like, I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but there is.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes there's no problem with it. That was one of the first times I was like, okay, So then after I did, I was like, oh no, okay,
Yeah.
it's not okay.
Yeah, and what's cool is that you're feeling that on the inside no matter what somebody says.
Yeah,
You know, whether somebody says right or wrong, for
Yeah.
you, there's something on the inside. Of,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, right for me is not always right for everybody else.
No, for sure.
So
And so
with
how
my
do you-
belief system, that's what
Do
I
what?
believe. With my belief system,
Right,
I know it's wrong, so I need to not do it.
right,
Yeah,
right. And so as you look into your future, because I think the other thing is that what's cool about you is you're always thinking about you're a forward thinker.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he
Like,
wants to go 100, 200 years in the future. So
I'm just saying when I talk to him, I love to talk to people that, like, today is today. Like, I ask him today, how's work? And, you know, work's work, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
we all work.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you get up every day and work's work. But I'm working towards, you know, there's always something, you know, to work towards, whether that's professionally or whether that's the way that God uses you or all of those things. So do you have some hopes and dreams on how God continues to use you in the future, maybe through umpiring or through, you know, the things that you're doing? Because again, I can imagine that you could have great influence.
that's one of the things I want to learn to do.
Okay.
Is how I can stay professional out on the field, but still impact someone to come to Jesus. So if there's, that's one thing I kind of in my head, like, how can I learn to juggle this? Because I feel like I can connect with kids at a younger age,
Yeah.
at a teenage age where, which I know there's kids at a teenage age struggling with what I struggle with a lot,
Right.
because it's all at the tip of our fingers.
Right.
Yep.
So, and it's one of the things doing this podcast. I was hoping this would come up and maybe somebody can see it and be like, oh, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Even because even sometimes when you are struggling with it and you know it's wrong, you still do it.
Right. For sure.
So that's just, I'm hoping, just always, I want people to know that, hey, you can always get better.
Right.
So,
And I think too that we need to not forget, like, sometimes we think, well, coaches have great influence, which is true, and people have great influence, which is true. But I can remember times, like, again, you're not always going to agree with an umpire, but there is a difference. I always say this now. This might get us in trouble.
great. Every episode now, you're saying something that could censor
No,
us.
so it's like, so do you ever have the cops that are just like, you know they're a
yeah.
cop? They didn't even have to have their uniform on.
No.
What?
my brother's one of those.
You know what I'm saying?
Loving to death, but
you
it's like,
just look at him and you're like, you would be a perfect cop, right? Because I don't know. I just think there's this persona of, like, you separate yourself from the rest of us, and then there's the cops that are very helpful. I do think that there's somewhat difference. Like, I think there are cops out there that are power hungry and like the power. And I think there are cops that are there that I got into this profession to help people, right? And I think it's the same thing in umpiring.
Yeah.
When you go into umpiring, there are umps that are out there that's just like, this is going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's going to be the guy that's out there to show everybody that he's in control. And then there are the great umps, like the guys that are very relational, that are talking to people, that are, I was a catcher.
Yeah.
I loved umpires.
Yeah.
Like, we would talk all the time in between innings. We'd have discussions together. Like, for most part, most of the umpires I had a great relationship with. And even were guys that would teach me things. You know, like, they would say to me, like, hey, just to help you, you could frame a pitch better.
don't hold the ball there for 5 seconds.
Right. Things that were very, as a kid, was helpful that I didn't know. And so there is influence there. And
Yeah.
I think it's how we handle ourselves. I guess that's what I was getting at. You know, you can handle yourself as a person in
Yeah.
power, and you're gonna show that you're in power, or you can handle yourself as a person that's there, that is in control, but you don't have to tell everybody, or act like you're in control of everything. So I just think that, I mean, you have a pretty good influence base of.
Yeah. I mean, there's catchers. Obviously, I'm right behind a catcher all game. We're gonna, if it's gonna be a good game, we're gonna have conversations with both sides.
Right.
But there's also Little League this year. There's a 12-year-old who's going. He's 13 now, out of Little League, and I remember him when he was 7.
Yeah.
Just coming through, and I'm his favorite umpire. I'll
That's
just say
amazing.
it. And
Yeah.
we always get along. He sees me, comes talks to me, even if he's not playing.
Right.
And me and his dad know each other fairly well. And it's always good to see that and see there's kids that really, when you know they're like, oh, it's Jeremy today.
Yeah.
You never want to get to where it's Jeremy.
Here we
today.
That's
That
funny.
is true. I guess it's probably the same way as a preacher. You don't want somebody to walk in and be like, oh, Judas, it's Mike again. You know what I mean? Yeah, we want to be the one.
Gotta
Yeah.
behave.
Yeah, you guess you want to be the one. But like I said, I think God's going to be able to use you, you know, in ways. Because whether it's young or old, I mean, you're getting to see a pretty cool perspective.
Yeah.
You know, being able to watch kids grow up and kids, do work at. Because again, there's times games are difficult.
Yeah.
There's times games that are good, and you get to be there in those moments of difficulty. You get to be in the moments of
Yeah, and how you handle yourself. I mean, you can shine the light of Jesus into a crazy game, you know, and show people how you should respond to those. Maybe laughing at parents probably is not the right thing to do. So
I don't know,
It's
man.
parents.
It's authenticity. So haven't you ever heard the story about why some people don't come to Life Church when I was a coach? Have you ever heard these stories before?
Maybe.
So when I was a coach, because this is what everybody's like, well, you know, how you handle yourself off the field kind of show, you know, or when you're out there coaching. And I said, you know, sometimes it just gets the better of you.
Yeah.
So this is just honestly the way that it is. Because somebody, I honestly think they come again now. They in the beginning, they're like, we'll never come to this church because Mike was on the sideline one time and he threw his headset and he punched a hole through the whiteboard. And the people were like, is that really true? And I'm like, yeah, that's really true. They weren't listening. They weren't listening, right? Like sometimes it's just, you got to get your attention. But is it the right way to handle yourself? No. But there are times it just gets away with us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But God can still use
Yes.
us.
Yes.
You know, I think that's the cool part. Because that's something you were saying in your story. Like, there have been some things that, you know, you get over your addiction, but you still have some issues every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like all of us in life. But God's still using you in amazing ways.
Yeah.
Right? So don't let anybody believe because we make mistakes, God can't use us. Because honestly, I think we talked about this in Starting Point last night. God's glorified through our imperfection, not through our perfection.
Yeah, you said something last night that when Taylor said something about how we all need to try to be like Jesus, he went, no, we all need to be ourselves.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I understand what he's saying there. Yeah.
Because again, I mean, isn't this cool that there's nobody like you?
Yeah.
Like, I always think about this. There's nobody like you. There's nobody like Jennifer. There's nobody like you're unique.
Yeah, there is nobody like you.
But you know what? Like, I think some of the greatest joy that I find is getting to know the unique you.
Yeah.
You know, because like it's so cool how God. I mean, Jeremy's a perfect example. Who would have ever thought that a fourth grader would have thought about being an umpire? Like, I mean, it's just things. It's uniqueness. It's the way you're designed. It's what makes you tick and what's good in your life and like what gets you excited. And it's so much different for every single person. And I like just the beauty of the uniqueness. Yeah. Like what makes you unique, Jennifer?
What makes me unique?
Yeah. Like what makes you unique?
Oh, gosh.
Huh?
Don't.
Come on, you know something that makes you. You want me to tell you what makes you unique?
No, it's okay. We're talking about Jeremy.
Well, we're talking about everybody. We're talking about everybody. What makes Jeremy unique? You got anything for him?
I don't know.
Here's what I think makes you unique. Are you ready? Huh?
Yes.
What makes Jennifer unique is the ability to be able to recognize that she's in a certain place in your life and that you can see it and know that you need to be somewhere else and that you're willing to work to get there. I think that's unique. I think a lot of times we don't want to admit where we are. You know what I mean? Like I think there are times that what I think unique about Jeremy is that I said it in the beginning, like it's very seldom does somebody come in, admit their mistake. First of all, like how many people are going to admit on national TV that I have a porn addiction and I'm working on it. And God's using me in incredible ways.
Yeah.
Right? And that you've overcome and you're doing great things. And how many people are going to come to a church essentially on your own after a
Yeah.
breakup?
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I saw you, I don't think you were here with anybody.
No, I
Were you?
can't. No, I was by myself. I sat in the back row.
No.
And then a couple weeks later, I'm like, I'll move a little closer.
Yeah,
Little
keep working towards
now,
the front.
Now I got my seat.
Now
I
he's
like.
got his assigned seat.
I
He's
got
in
my
the
fourth row on the end.
Yep, fourth row
Right,
on
right
the
where
end.
Mike can look at me and be
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Hey,
He's
hey,
always
get
right
your
there.
flashlight out. My phone's turned off. Well, turn that sucker on.
Yeah, I just think that's unique because you, on your own,
Yeah.
somebody didn't have to prod you.
Yeah.
You know, on your own, you've made a decision to become a better man.
Yeah.
That's unique, right? Like, that's unique. What's unique about Nick?
You ready?
Are you thinking?
No, I know what's unique
No,
about
I was just asking
Nick.
him if he was ready to hear.
Yeah, Nick is unique because he was somebody who was at a place in his life where he wondered if he could ever be used again to making some of the most significant impacts ever in life in people. Like, that's unique. A lot of people give up after mistakes, right? And I think it's significantly unique when a person can overcome a mistake and be able to say, not only am I going to be an overcomer, I'm going to be a winner, right? Like, I'm going to go out there, and has allowed God to completely transform, because he's had like 500 job titles at Life Church. I mean, since he's been here, like, I don't know how many job titles he's had, but it changes weekly, you know, in what he's doing. But he's making significant impact. And I just think that's unique. And that, to me, is the best part about this job. The best part of this job is we get to see God's creation, you know, and then we get to watch kind of the molding. You know what I mean? You get to watch this molding of God's creation.
Yeah.
So we're at the end, Jeremy. You got any advice for people?
Let's keep fighting. I mean, it's fight and trust in God
Okay.
and just get through. I
Okay.
mean, I know it sounds simple and I know it's not always easy,
Wow.
but nothing worth it's easy.
Okay.
So
Do you want to give a...
I can't. You want
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want my strike three?
Absolutely. Seriously? Somebody's got to be able to see this.
You gotta have the feet. You gotta have a good stance.
Okay.
Get down.
Okay.
See the pitch.
Hey. Oh, it's twofold? Oh, do that again. I want to learn that one. Do that one again. All I'm saying is we got to get... Hold on a second. We're adjusting the camera.
Okay, Nick's good.
So that we can make sure. I didn't know it was like a two thing. Oh, yeah. Give me the two thing. Yes.
That's, you said 3 at the end?
3,
Strike three.
3,
I see.
3, 3. Hey.
Gosh.
Okay. Jeremy, seriously. I mean, it's been so much fun, you know, doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's been a great joy to watch you grow in your relationship with Christ. Thankful for you to be at Life Church and the significance that you're making at Life Church as a servant here. Super proud of you for what you're doing at Life. And I'm way excited to watch you grow up. Way excited, not grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm young.
He's
I'm
I got
old.
26, so he's got
That's
a
what
lot
I'm saying.
Yeah, I
So
got a lot
just to
growing
watch
to
the
do.
things that God's going to
Yeah.
do, you know, in your life. It'd be
Yeah.
super exciting to watch those things. So if you're watching, or actually if you're listening and or watching, make sure you like, share, comment, because when we get it out on Facebook, we want to make sure everybody sees it. If you're listening, make sure you do go to our YouTube. And while you're there, subscribe. We need more subscribers. So while you're on your YouTube, subscribe. And also take an opportunity to see Jeremy. Jeremy's easy to find because he's always in the same seat.
Yep.
All at the same time.
Fifth row, couple rows behind Jennifer.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
You
he's
are.
always, and he's always on the outside.
Yes.
So come up and say hi, you know, and again, get to know you because you're a great young man and look forward to watching you in the future. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Hey!